welcome to 4,000 and Counting. I'm Watty, that is Mark, and today we are joined by Sniper Extraordinaire for his second appearance on 4,000 and Counting, Mr. Rory Herrman. First of all, Rory, congratulations on the big overtime victory in
Yeah,
the Cup semi-final
congratulations.
last night. You must be buzzing today.
Yeah, very, very exciting stuff. It was a little bit more stressful than it needed to be, but all in all, we're happy that we won the game. And you could see the electricity in the building was something that, got all the boys pumped up. And, we got the finals coming up against Hull. So good luck to them. And, it's going to be pretty good finals.
Well, it had to be Disco Stew with the OT winner. We're talking off air there, and you said the barn was, it sounded like the roof was going to come off.
Yeah.
MK this year have been doing exceptionally well at bringing people through the door. Have you been impressed with the amount of fans that come in the building each week?
Yeah, I've been extremely impressed. I think our owners have done a great job promoting the team. The social media team does a pretty good job posting and getting adverts out to get new people to the games. And each week you see new faces in there, and then there's always the regulars, which, those are the most supportive fans. You see them even on the road, but the home games have just been electric, and it's huge, huge to have that behind you when you're playing at home. You want to hear the noise. It helps the team out quite a bit.
Mark, does that suck for you that as a former Peterborough Phantoms fan that you got 12 people in Peterborough and what was it 2,360 I think they're pulling in on the weekly?
I'm a neutral, so nah, I've always admired MK for that. I've always been jealous in that respect.
But I'm only joking there about Peterborough. Actually, Peterborough put a thing out this week. Their attendance is
Nine,
up
yeah,
16% or something.
955 or so. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. I think the league as a
the
whole,
smaller barn.
it is a smaller barn, but I think the league as a whole is doing very well at actually bringing new fans into the game. So keep doing what you're doing, owners. That's what we like to see. Rory, obviously, you had a cup of coffee in Telford last year, put up like 45 points in 21 games. So we knew you were more than capable. This year, getting a full season under your belt with one club. Let's have a look at your stats here. I think you're sitting on 84 points for the year. 38 games, 37 goals, 47 apples, and only 8 PIMs. That's some good numbers, my friend.
Thank you.
What's been the key to your success this season?
Uh, Individually, I just have been playing a lot with good players. We've switched the lines up a couple times, but we have a lot of depth. So whenever there's been injuries or suspension or anything weird, we have players that can, distribute the puck to each other and communicate, play hockey at a very high level. So when I go out there, it's been nice to have guys that can, make plays and put in some nice goals off of like a pass I gave them, or give me a nice pass for just a tap in. So a lot of it's just been the other players around me.
I said there in the stat rundown, you only have 8 PIMs. How the fuck have you managed to play nearly 40 games and have only got 4 penalties on all season? That's impressive.
I don't know. I think that I used to play center a lot, and this year I'm playing on the wing mostly. So maybe some of the penalties that I got in previous seasons would be like stick penalties in the D zone as like the low forward. But this year, I'm just responsible for like the D, and rarely will I find myself like below the hash mark. So, and then in the O zone, try to have the puck on my stick. So it's pretty hard to take penalties when I have it on my stick. So.
Yeah, and that's a good breakdown. Mark, obviously we've interviewed Rory before. Um, we looked at the sign in, and then we looked at the other signings. We had MK near the top right at the start. They've made a cup final. Leeds haven't. Are we still going to sit on Leeds for the league, or do we think these boys can pull it back?
You can never write MK off. I mean, they're
SOD.
stacked. Leeds are stacked. MK are stacked. They both play great hockey. MK have made it to a cup final, so who knows? I
What
think, yeah, can never write them off, but let's see.
what about you? What about you, Rory? Obviously, there is a bit of a point gap. Leeds don't lose many games, but I imagine the feeling in the camp is that you boys can still get the job done in the league.
Yeah, I think I don't actually know like the breakdown of the points or where we sit, but credit to Leeds for winning as many games as they have, but also credit to us for winning the amount of games that we have. And both teams, I think, on this late run in the season are going to be susceptible to, breakdowns and mistakes. And, right now, I think our team's in a good spot because, we played a lot of games and a lot of different types of games and had some ups, had some downs. But overall, I think, the ship stayed pretty steady. And I think for the rest of this journey, it's about just playing as consistent as we can. And let the chips fall where they fall. But then along with the league title, yeah, we got to focus on playing whole here in the cup championship and then playoffs. And we'll see what happens. I think the way we've been playing, that I do believe that we can still win all three. And that's the goal for myself and every guy on our team this year, and what we talked about at the beginning of the year. So we got to stay focused on that.
So we have the breakdown here. Leeds currently 35 games played, 61 points. MK sitting in second, 38 games, 58 points. But I think the major difference in the fact that they're currently sitting top is their away form. They're 14-2-1, you guys 10-8, but both of your teams home form. MK at home this year, 19 wins, 1 loss. You've only lost 1 game at home. Leeds 16-2, only lost 2 games at home. How important is it for you guys when you have a serious title aspiration to be that solid at home?
It's very important. I think it definitely is attest to like just the fans that come in every week, because you want to perform in front of your home fans. And just the electricity in the stadium has been enough to motivate guys and carry us over the edge in maybe some close games, like last night, for example, close game. But some games have been just momentum throughout the entire 60 minutes. And we have pretty big ice arena. So when we have the momentum on that sheet, we know what we're doing. It's definitely something that other teams, I think, are very scared of, and they see it. And when we play, fast on that big ice, we got guys that can put the puck in the net, and that's usually what's been happening at home. Away games have been a little bit tough, like shift down to like a little bit smaller rink, or you know, it's just kind of a different game. But I think overall, like the last couple away games that we've had, um, have been pretty solid.
It is a
I
massive
know you
difference.
haven't.
Sorry, Mark, go on.
Yeah, I know you haven't been around the leagues that long, but what do you like the addition? How do you like the addition of having a Scottish team in Solway? That must have been a nice experience for you to travel up there.
Yeah, I mean, the growth of hockey in all the UK is something that I don't think anybody should really argue with. I mean, you could complain about like having to drive up there, but they have to do the same thing, and they have to do it more regularly than we have to do it. So, you know, hats off to them. I know that you guys had their owner on, and seems like a nice guy and loves the game of hockey. So good for them. I respect that. We have a guy that was on our team, Callie Robertson. He went up there, and I chatted with him a couple times, just via text, and he says he's loving it up there. So,
Good.
and we've only played once up there, and from when I played up there, uh, yeah, it was kind of a tough bus journey, but still, nothing that I haven't experienced in the past with other teams I've been on. So it's good.
Well, the next time you go up there, in fact, myself and John chatted about it the other night. It's a double header. You have the Saturday game and then the Sunday game. They're putting like a band on in the bar, and I think they're going all out for the MK fans. Well, they're doing the right things to try and obviously bring bring new people to the building. They had a record crowd of 844 last week, but the ambition is to be sitting around 1100. You talk about the growth of the game. They averaged 350 through the door last year in that lower league. So, almost 500 more fans already, and we're only 6 months into the season here. It's good, and you boys, like you say, you have to suck up a couple of long bus trips throughout the year. But if that continues to help grow the game in the UK, long may that happen.
Yeah, true that, true that. Plus, there's so many good Scottish players that how could you not want to play for a team? And Scotland in this league. So I'm sure that could be something that is a draw as well.
Yeah, it'll be a bigger draw next year, I think. Obviously, with it being the way it was last year, they didn't have long to put a roster together. A lot of guys already signed up. I think we might see maybe a few of the Scottish boys move home next year, and get still get to compete in this league, but be closer to family, be closer to partners, and everything else.
Yeah, true.
And I also, as you say, Cali Robinson's on a heater right now. He's gone up there. He's enjoying his hockey. 17 points, 15 games, doing very, very well. But you boys, like losing someone like Cali would affect a lot of locker rooms. You guys seem to have taken it in your stride. You have so much depth that you just continue to pick up victories.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, he's missed by all the guys for sure because he had a great season in Bristol last year, and then the start of the year this year maybe started a little bit slow for him, but we all know like he's such a good hockey player and he's a really nice guy. So he had to make like the decision for himself what he wanted to do, and that's what he decided. So good for him, and yeah, he was a really nice guy.
How has the league standard changed from last season to this season with the additional import?
Uh, I don't know. I think that it's definitely been a little bit better this year. From what I remember, I played probably like 24 games, including playoffs, or 25 maybe for Telford. And the playoff games were, the top teams, and the top teams were playing pretty good last year. Like Romford was pretty good in the playoffs, and
Yeah,
Leeds obviously was pretty good last year. This year, I think most of the teams, with the addition of an import, have probably grown a little bit in just some skill. It's not necessarily hockey fundamentals because uh, all the guys that grew up playing here, like you play in this league or the elite league for enough time, or watch other European hockey or the NHL, you pick up hockey fundamentals. But there's some skill that other people bring from other parts of the world to the league this year. And with three guys, I think it's just a little bit more skilled and a little bit faster.
that's a great question, Mark. I'm a big fan of the extra import. I would even go to all the owners are going to tell me to fuck off right now, but I would even add one more. I liked when we played in so Rory, back in the day, the EPL was the second tier, and we trialed anything between 3 and 6 imports, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think the sweet spot was 4 or 5. As you say, you get to play with guys from all over the world. We had Canadians, Americans, Czechs, Slovaks, Swedes. Everyone brought something a little bit different. And I mean, you look at how many forwards and defensemen teams are carrying now. They're carrying 12 forwards, they're carrying 7D, they're carrying 2, 3 goalies. I think the argument a lot of people will make is it's less room for British players. I hate that argument because it's only 11 spots. And if you're not good enough for those 11 spots, you shouldn't be in the fucking league anyway. If you're one of those bottom 11 guys, tough shit. Like,
Yeah,
I think what you do get on the back of having extra imports, we've seen it this year, is improved play from the other Brits. Like, not to pump your tires up too much, but the guys are going to be learning off you. You're picking up 84 points in less than 40 games. Guys that get to play with you will learn from you. You have Tim Wallace there. Like, someone put a picture out this week, and it was Penn's rookie camp, and it's Tim Wallace and fucking Sidney Crosby. Like,
yeah,
you're telling me you're not going to pick something up playing with that guy? You're going to learn some stuff.
yeah, definitely, most definitely. I think that, yeah, the flip side, what you said, where it's not enough. It's something that, Brits would be a little bit frustrated with, I think is obvious as well. But then what you said, like the positive side of, picking things up from different players across the world, um, that's something that when I came over here, you know, I really respected that because I was playing last year with Vladimir Luka, and he's from the Czech Republic, and you just see like how he plays versus someone from Canada or someone from the United States, and it's completely different. Or you know the Swedes and Finnish players all play pretty skilled games, and I don't know. I like what you said where you can learn from different players, and there's definitely good British players in this league that would maybe be learning from other players from across the globe. And there's definitely good British players that I'm learning from on our team, like a guy like Ross Venus.
Love
He's
to.
got so much experience and so much skill, great hands. I love his hockey IQ. And then we got some great young defensemen and some great young forwards that are all pretty athletic guys. Go to the gym every week, skating hard in practice. Like they're just going to get better. So the hockey here, overall, with the import, without the import, I think is going to get better. So that's a good sign.
Mark, where do you sit on it? Obviously, I talk about it all the time, wanting an extra import. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound ungrateful. I'm happy we're at three. I am really happy we're at three. But Mark, where would you obviously watched all the years, three, four, five, six. Where was your sweet spot then, and where is your sweet spot now?
I like where we are at the moment. I more see it from a financial and stability perspective.
Okay.
I'd rather not put clubs under too much financial strain to then collapse an organization and have one less club. So I think four maximum is what I would have going forwards, but that would be possibly over the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And I mean, I think maybe outside of the Steel Dogs, maybe on one or two other clubs, everybody else's attendances are through the roof. So I think financially, if they would be okay if they can continue to bring this amount of footfall through the door. I think there's going to be clubs in that league that are very sustainable, but we then run into the issue, that what they call it like an act of God. What happened to Swindon this year, where the rink floods and shit, all of a sudden you're playing on the road for 3 months. That would be an issue if you had an extra import, you had extra housing and all of that, and you have no home gates for that long. I mean, that hasn't happened before, but it's proved this year that it could happen. So that could be a stumbling block. What have you made of? I mean, it hasn't really affected you with your four penalties, but what have you made of some of the decisions with the Department of Player Safety this year? Like me and Mark talked about it. I spoke to Brett Ferguson from Guildford Flames last night. Interviews out today, folks. Go and listen to it. And we spoke, and he's like, What's going on with the Department of Player Safety down there?" I was like, "I don't know." It's like some guys get like 16 game bans, 12 game bans, 10 game bans. Like, are you shocked the way it goes?
Uh, yeah, sometimes I just see, like the posts and some of the stuff I see is like, yeah, I question it sometimes, but then like there's other things that I look at and I don't question it. So it's kind of like 50-50 where um I think that it's probably a stressful position to be in where you have to like decide like the severity of a suspension on like a play that's obviously not allowed in the game of hockey. Um, but like realistically, I think the best thing you can do in the game of hockey is try your best to emulate what the NHL does with their suspensions. And because mainly the NHL, you look at suspensions that they give out, and there's never really a question whether it was, you know, worth it or like the amount of games. Like it's usually pretty spot on. Um, so like try essentially just like for them, just try your best to emulate the NHL because it is kind of a tough position to be in. And I know the NHL had a problem with it for some time, and it's been something that they've worked on pretty aggressively like the last, I'd say 6, 7 years, where like you have more technology to see the hits and slow motion and can decide whether it was like malicious or just like someone who did it by accident.
Just a bit
Uh,
clumsy.
yeah, it's such a fast game that like it's definitely a hard position that they're in where they have to decide things. Um, but if they can emulate the NHL or find people that, you know, have a lot of experience, maybe even playing the game, so they can kind of side with the players. I'm not really sure how it's set up. It could be set up, just the way, the NHL one is, but
It's not.
we'll
It's not.
who knows? Like you see things and you definitely shake your head like that doesn't really make sense. But then, you see some things like, okay, well that does make sense. So I don't know.
It is a tough job. but they made a
Yeah, it's not
run.
easy.
They made a run off their own back with some of their early season shenanigans. Obviously, we've had a couple of expose pieces with Morsey and stuff on here, and they kind of made mistakes right from the very start. There is someone that's going to be taking over the head role next year, and I fully back that person to make it a success. I think we'll probably see less crazy length bans next year. I think we'll probably see the tier system disappear. I think that doesn't help those guys. They made this tier system at the start of the year, and one's a tier one, tier two, tier three, and if you do this, you get that, and if you do that, you get this. I think they're going to judge each incident solely on the incident next year, not trying to fit it in a tier, not trying to put it in a bracket. I think that in turn will make it more like the NHL. It will allow them a little bit more freedom to make better decisions. And also, as you say, I think the person that's going to be in charge will ultimately look to surround them with players, maybe officials, and people that have been around the game for a good amount of time, that have a good amount of experience that they can
Yeah.
bring to that position. And I think it'll start to settle down a little bit next year. The fans will be a little bit happier. I'm not being funny. Like when you see a guy get a 10-game ban, that's not a 10-game ban, and you've bought your season ticket and that's your favorite guy, and you're not going to get to see him 6 times because he's sussied, you're going to be pretty upset. So
Yeah.
I think from a business perspective, they need to get it right, because ultimately, if you're star players, I mean, and Mark, I'm going to bring something you said up, if that's okay.
Sure.
Only because it was actually Rory that you used as an example. So we chatted in the group chat the other day, and we look back to our expose. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's quite interesting. But basically, they're charging £500 for an appeal, right? And from that £500 from the appeal, the solicitor, non-solicitor George is now gone, but he was getting like £350. It was a money-making scheme, right? Then no more, no less. Mark said, "What if you get a guy that's super important to his club, like Rory, and he does something that's not even that questionable, but ends up getting suspended? Would the league do it just to get the appeal money in?" I personally don't think now they would be in the position to do that, but maybe at the start of the year, I would not have been surprised if that happened. But
Aye.
it's crazy that we're having that conversation, because I kind of feel that should never even enter the realm of possibility. But yeah, I know. Yeah, obviously we only used you because you had so few penalties, and it would be like, could they target a player like that so that the club would then have to pay? I mean, I hope that that's not going to be the case. I hope we don't see anything like that. And I really hope that the new people that get involved for the 24-25 season change it up so much that you guys are still safe out there, because that's the ultimate goal of the Department of Player
Yeah.
Safety, is to keep you guys safe, to make sure you're on the ice and not hurt. But also, we want to keep you on the ice playing. If something's a 2-game ban, make it a 2. Don't make it an 8. Don't make it a 10.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's, like you say, it just there needs to be people with experience, and it's not, you know, a country where you're like, oh, there's no hockey experience here now, because it is a country where there's so much hockey experience that you don't want to see stuff like that happen, because it makes people that are from other countries question it. And you just got to have like everything look pretty solid in order for the game to progress. And, mistakes are going to be made. But when they're made, don't let them carry on for a long period of time. Like, nip it in the bud and fix it, because you need to keep the game growing. Like, that's pretty common all over the world with popular hockey countries. They just want to keep growing the game.
You have an ex-teammate of my brother's, charity game legend, Mr. Malik Martelli. How good is young Malik, and how well is he doing for you boys this season?
He's done really, really well for us. Malik is one of the nicest guys I've ever met, off the ice. And then on the ice, very, very skilled player, high hockey IQ, and is someone that I look at that will be pushing for the elite league here in the next, you know, I don't want to really give him a timeline, but because it's completely based upon how he progresses. But he's definitely someone that's got a lot of skill, very good player, very good person. And when I came to MK this year and was watching him play, it was like, oh, this guy's an exciting player to watch. He's got real good edge work, real good speed, can shoot the puck, plays really well in the defensive zone, and overall is just a really reliable player. So the future is definitely bright for him. And, like I said, he's just a great guy.
He's definitely one myself and Mark have kind of earmarked for a Great Britain senior call up at some time in the future. Obviously, he's going to have to get his way into the Elite League first before he does that. But we talked in the group chat once again about the average age of the Great Britain squad for these current Olympic game qualifiers. The average age is 30.9. And that is quite an old average age when it comes to international hockey. So in the next, whether it be season, whether it be, I imagine if we qualify for the Olympics, none of the boys are fucking retiring. So I imagine if we do, we would see probably a big change come 2026, 2027. And guys like Malik, like Liam Stenton, these sort of players that are being very, very good in this league now will go up to that elite league and will be knocking on the door for a Great Britain spot.
Yeah, I've been pushing for myself because last year when I came here, my agent, he was a good friend of mine from when I played prep school, and he was the person that contacted me and said, "I know that you have your UK passport, and I've had my UK passport since birth, and my pretty much like my entire family on my mom's side are all up in Liverpool. So, I was coming to this country quite a bit. And then when I figured out that there was hockey here, at probably age 14, 15, when, you start doing a little bit more research, learn about the game, learn about college and different junior leagues and different pro leagues. I was always like, oh, maybe I'll end up there one day. And then I was around 15 and he talked to me about that. And he was like, whenever you want to go, just let me know. And then I let him know last year and he got me here. And he was telling me if I came halfway through the season, that it could potentially count as a year of eligibility. And they were saying something maybe like if I played 2 years in the country, I could be eligible for the team. I don't really know
Okay.
how it works, but it's definitely something that, we're pushing for. So, um,
Well,
you
similar
know,
boat to your teammate Liam Stewart. I think after Stewie being here for obviously Stewie's dad's one of the most iconic British people on the fucking planet. Um, but Stewie played no junior hockey here, neither did you. He went down the WHL route and
he did.
made his way over here. Stewie then ends up playing a couple of years, and before you know it, he is eligible for the national team. He takes that step. I would quite happily have you follow his footsteps, and I think that's something that could be in your future. You keep putting points up, like
Yeah.
why not? And it's nice to hear that you want to do that. I mean, to me, if you've got a British passport and half your family are British, you're British.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I grew up with a lot of the traditions that, people would grow up with here. I didn't grow up in England by any means, but, my mom was still cooking roast dinner on Sunday. So,
Oh yeah,
and I was having full English, on the weekends, before games. And
pre-game full
uh,
English.
yeah, I mean, I grew up with all of it. Like, you know, my grandma would always come over from Liverpool to San Diego for Christmas, and she'd bring all like the British stuff, like the hobnobs
Oh
and the
yeah.
Oh
digestives
yeah.
and Yorkshire tea. And is when I seen that, I just was like, oh man, this is amazing. I was so fortunate to have family from over here because I could have, I guess, two different lives. Whereas like my life in the United States on my dad's side and all those traditions, which we don't have too many traditions because the U.S. is like still pretty new country compared to any of the countries in Europe. So having that like country in Europe like in my life was pretty special for me.
The one tradition that obviously I played a year in the States, the one tradition that I did really, really love, obviously because I'm a fat prick, is Thanksgiving. I have never seen so much fucking food in my entire life. We sat down for Thanksgiving dinner and you could have, there was like maybe 12 of us there. You could have fed 1,000 people with how much food was on
It's
the table.
overboard. It's totally overboard. But yeah, that's what it is. And it's totally overboard. But it's something that like you wouldn't want to eat any food the rest of the day or even before that when it's that day because you know there's just going to be so much food on the table for dinner.
Yeah, like that was one of them ones you have to go lie down in a dark room for like 3 hours after it. It's just
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
oh. In fact,
Yeah.
I tell you what, actually, what we did do. So, Steve Parry, his dad, he took us for a drive in his Barracuda. It was a 6.4 liter engine, and we went down Clearwater Bay Beach in Florida. And this thing does like 2 miles to the gallon. It's a ridiculous gas guzzler. But like again, like you talk about traditions that other people don't get to see. I was thankful that I got to be a part of that day for them and for their family. They took me in and showed me a good time. So it must be nice as you coming from the States and having Christmas dinners and having roast dinners and fry ups and doing all the stuff that we just take for granted over here.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. But in a nutshell, um, I love it over here. I mean, it's definitely not like I experienced living in San Diego, even with, you know, a British mother. Like living over here is completely different. Like you're fully immersed in it, and by no means am I a veteran to any of the British traditions. Because when I came over here, I still look at things and need to learn, and I'm learning from my teammates, all my British teammates, like every day, and it's pretty cool.
How are you finding life in Milton Keynes then? Because Milton Keynes was actually, I believe, an American architect, and the system and layout of Milton Keynes is based on like the American system.
I heard I heard that the city of Milton Keynes, I don't know the name of the person or their origins, but my mother grew up in a city called Parbold, and it's a little, kind of farm suburb outside of Liverpool. And it was this, just ironically, my grandma and my uncle, uh, on my mom's side, had said that the city of Milton Keynes was designed by the same person that designed Parbold there where they grew up, just outside of Liverpool. So I don't know if that like I don't know who designed it, but all I have to say is it's like crazy the amount of roundabouts that are here. Everybody knows that.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I was
Yeah, it's
gonna,
just
whoever
everybody knows
designed it's
that.
got shares in a fucking tire, got shares in tire factories all across
Yeah.
Milton Keynes.
It's crazy though, because the way the city is set up is different than any city that I've been to. And it seems as if it's like almost set up on like an experiment level of like, okay, this city's going to be different in a lot of ways. And, there's a lot of great things about Milton Keynes. Like I really enjoy the different parks that are around. There's some nice places to go and they have a lot of nice restaurants here. The Center MK where everybody does their shopping is pretty nice. And then the rink, we got a nice rink, and then the train station. The best thing that I find is that it's only 30 minutes on the train down to London, and you can get a ticket just about any time of day. So I think a lot of people actually who live here are probably commuting in and out of London because it's probably a little bit cheaper here to live
Yeah.
versus living in London. So,
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Well, that's essentially I'm in Basingstoke. Basingstoke was built up in the 50s, 60s, 70s as an overspill for London. So
Yeah.
very similar, we're 45 minutes on the train into Waterloo. And it's something you probably take for, I think being from here, you kind of take it for granted. But imagine for you getting to come in, do a bit of traveling, go in, check out. Do you take the boys? Do you boys head into London very often?
Yeah, we've gone to London. I've probably gone to London about 10 times since I've been here. Because I mean, it's friggin' London. Like it's such a cool place, and like how could you not, go down and experience that as much as possible when it's so close and so convenient on the train. But we went down and did traditional team day out in London here in Milton Keynes. So it was a good time for all the guys on our team to get to know each other down in, a beautiful city. So
Was that Monday Fun Day, was it?
I forgot what day it was.
We always used to in the EPL always used to be like traditional Monday fun day, but
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of crazy too, because yeah, we play Saturday, Sunday, so Mondays are your off days, and I've never had that before in any of the leagues I've played. And it's usually Friday, Saturday games, so Sunday is your off day, and you maybe see a little bit more people out. But Monday, it's pretty much like a ghost town everywhere except London. So if you go down to London on a Monday, still pretty good. But yeah, we went down there. I forgot what day it was, but it was fun because there's people everywhere. Pubs were packed. People all happy, smiling, sharing a pint. Um, yeah, we had a good time.
you touched on last time when you was on. Obviously, you're a football fan. Have you managed to make your way to any Premier League games live this year?
No, no, and I was a little bit disturbed that I haven't gone out of my way to go to any of the games, but I went to a rugby game
Oh yeah.
about a month
Nice.
ago,
What, Northampton
and
Saints?
yeah, Northampton Saints. I went
Yeah,
to that
solid.
game, and it was a Champions League, a European game against a French team. I forgot the French team's name. So we went over there. It was about a 20-minute drive, and we parked the car up, got some nice food, and didn't really get to see much of the city, but then went into the stadium, and the stadium was just buzzing. And I don't know, probably about 25, 30,000 people, I'd say. And they were down in the first half and then came out and won the game from behind, and it was one of the most intense sporting events I've ever been to. And then from that point on, I think I'm pretty sure that the team has gone on to win like 10 out of their last 11, or it's just a crazy run of form for them since that game, and they're sitting top of the table. So
Yes.
I was pretty lucky to go to that game. I bought a hat, and I've been wearing like the Northampton Saints bucket hat around town. Everybody's looking at me. Oh, nice. But so it's good to support them, and especially since they're doing so good. And it's like, oh, that's my new team for rugby.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
so yeah,
ironic.
I love the rugby. I also want to correct myself. Derek Walker's the architect of Milton Keynes before some historic prick shoot me down.
Too late. Too late, mate. They would have made that comment when you said that. That's still going to be in the comments. It's all right. They can now comment saying sorry for chewing you out on it. It's one of my
Yeah,
favorite sports. Like rugby is fucking class. I love it.
yeah. That's what my dad played. He played rugby for 20 years, and he
Okay, nice.
started playing in Spain. He went to university in Madrid for 2 years and was playing rugby there when rugby was just taking off in Spain. And yeah, he played there for 2 years and then came back to San Diego and finished his university. But while in university in San Diego, he started he was playing, he could just continued playing and played for probably a good 20 years. And when I started playing ice hockey, his mantra was always, you got to be a rugby player on skates.
Great
And
mantra.
that's kind of the attitude that I brought
I,
out
I
over the
echo that.
team. Those guys are fierce athletes, and I mean, hockey players, very fierce athletes, but rugby players, it's definitely a crazy game. I mean, they got no pads or anything on, so
Yeah, they're wild men. If you haven't watched and this is to anybody that's listening, if you haven't watched the new Netflix series, God, I can't think of the name of it now. It's escaping me, but it's about the Rugby Six Nations. It is so good. Think of Drive to Survive Formula One. You think Breaking Point Tennis. It's that kind of series. It's made by the same people. These boys are just units. They're athletes. You got prop forwards that are like fucking that running like the 60-meter dash in no time at all. You see them there in there benching 180 kilos for reps and stuff. Just freak athletes. And you know what? When you actually get to hear them be interviewed, they're all dead humble, dead nice guys. And yeah, brilliant piece of documentary making by Netflix. I would love to see the kind of NIHL version, the
that'd be pretty cool.
boys getting a cheeky Nando's on a Monday and hitting the gym and doing all the kind of things and
We could
spending.
do a pretty decent series because we have a good amount of guys that are living in MK, and we've been going to the gym quite a bit. And it's actually kind of funny because we were playing badminton the other day, and no one plays badminton really, but we were just giving it a go, and it made for some good laughs.
Who's the strongest in the gym?
Strongest in the gym. I'd probably say the strongest in the gym would probably be my roommate, Tom's Ruckus. He's uh he's very fit guy, but if you're talking like just strength, like being able to put up numbers on any sort of lift, I haven't necessarily watched him lift, but when I'm doing my workout from a distance, I'll see what he's doing, and he's usually using like the big boy weights, which you love to see that. So
Yeah, great player, and like he went up, he did his little time in the elite league, and he's back down. I think he's an integral part of what you guys are doing. So it's great to see Tom's down. He was kind of one of the lads that were in and around like the Southwest Conference setup back when I was coaching. And it's nice to see that he's gone all the way through. He had his go in the elite league, and he's back down in MK doing good things. Great kid.
yeah, he's my roommate, and I live with him, his girlfriend, and my girlfriend, and we've had a really good time living together. Very, very nice people. And like you said, Tom's just a great hockey player, like one of the better players on our team. He works really hard in the gym and then on the ice. Just knows what he's doing out there, shoots the puck super hard. And I mean, he scored 2 goals last night, 2 goals the day before, or the game before, excuse me. So he's been kind of like Mr. Clutch for us right now.
Big time player. Let's
Yeah,
uh
big team player.
let's ask then, who does the hoovering, who does the washing up?
Is in the locker room.
No, we at home with you two
Oh,
boys.
at
If
home. Our roommates are just a smidgen older than us, so I'd say that they're a little bit more mature than we are, but
Yep,
we have a really clean house. I think
yeah,
everybody chips in. They definitely want to keep the house clean because they're mature individuals, and then me and my girlfriend, we don't really want to have anything laying out or so we try our best. I'd say compared to the young kids on our team that are living
yeah, that's
just
carnage.
in their own teens, like we probably have the cleanest house. I don't know. Who knows?
These are the sort of questions these questions are for you fans because I know you're gonna love to know this shit. Who's got the best dress sense? Who's got the worst dress sense of the team?
Best dress sense on the team, I would probably say Jordan Headley.
Yeah, he's smooth.
He tries, he like genuinely tries and finds like new clothes uh that all look good, so it's not like you can really make fun of a guy. He's always looking good. And then worst dressed on the team, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like when we show up to game day, everybody looks pretty good. And then practice, usually guys come in looking pretty good. I don't know, maybe I don't know. I really don't actually. I think everybody looks pretty put together.
What a team guy
Are you
right there.
making a statement that you're the best dressed team in the league?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Maybe. I mean, if I were to pin one guy down on worst dress and he doesn't even look that bad, he always just comes in with like a trackie, which sometimes he comes in with like a trackie and like white Air Force Ones, which I think is a little bit outrageous of a look for him, but is Callum Field. He's just
Uh,
so tall and lanky that like anything baggy on him looks extra baggy. So if he's got sweatpants and a sweater on, it just looks like, you know, there's like a super skinny person in like big clothes and it's like but it's not a bad look still. He still looks pretty good. And he's
Sounds
always
like he
got
needs to get in the gym with
hair.
Tom's.
I mean, he's such a young guy. Like it's like, throughout like his entire career, he's only gonna get bigger and stronger. So he's just getting there.
Who's got the best hairdo and who's got the worst hairdo?
Best hairdo, I'd probably say either Tom's, Mac, or Disco.
They got the
Well,
flow,
oh,
eh?
yeah, all three of them got real good hockey flow going. And then worst hairdo, probably like me or Ben Brown. I mean, we're both like kind of thinning a bit. So,
Oh, really? Yeah.
it is what it is. But he's got not the best hairdo. Like a couple other guys, like Griff definitely does not have the best hairdo on the team. But like, it is what it is.
What about the funniest guy in the locker room? The fans will love to know that sort of stuff.
Funniest guy in our locker room is probably Ben Solder. He's a pretty funny guy. He's supportive guy, but like definitely will take the piss and like joke, you know, at someone's expense, which is pretty funny. But then another funny guy would probably be their sloth, Ross Green. He's a pretty funny guy. He's always smiling. And then Will Curlin's pretty funny. He's always got like pretty witty comebacks, which you look at him and you're not expecting it. And then next thing you know, he drops like, a ball buster joke, and you're like, oh God, okay, this guy's pretty funny. But I mean, it's just British humor. Like all the British guys, like for me, I just kind of sit and just, listen to the funny things that they banter about, and then I try to put in. And sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't, but it's hard because, they're all just joking with each other, and I love it.
They've been doing that shit since under tens. Like it's
Yeah,
ruthless, it's
the
ruthless
Hamill
here.
brothers.
Like
If I'm gonna say one thing, the Hamill brothers from Belfast, two of the funniest guys I ever met in my life.
that's that,
So
that Belfast humor. It's the same
yeah,
as
it's
like
good.
same as if you ever get to play with a Glaswegian, like you're gonna know about it. They're just anytime they open their mouth, something funny comes out of it. It's I don't know. It's just I think when you grow up in these tough towns with the good people around about you, you're gonna have good banter.
Yeah, it's great. I love hearing it.
What about moving forward? You got the run in now, and we go back to hockey and the actual on ice product. You got the run in now. What is How do you break down your goals like leading into the end of the season? Obviously, you're going to want to pick up a cup final victory, but you could statistically and points wise, there's nothing saying that you can't pick Leeds to the league title. How do you break down the next kind of 12, 14 league games here?
I think the next 12 to 14 games are going to be games that are going to go our way because there really isn't an option. So the fans have an expectation of us to win, as any fan of any club does. So for us players now, it's really, are we going to do it or are we not? And by no means, I don't think anybody's looking in the mirror and saying, oh, we're just going to give up. I think the character on our team is probably one of the best I've been around, where when shit goes south, it doesn't matter. Like we're gonna have to find a way to win. So, but ultimately, it's each shift at a time. Each period, each game, and you know, ultimately, I think what the fans want outside of winning is to see their team work hard. And by no means, I think in any of the games this year have guys not stepped up and worked hard. We've definitely had a couple games that have just been bad puck luck, and it is what it is. But the next 12, 14 games, I think we're going to have a real good run of form. I'm confident that we'll win all 14 games, if I'm being honest.
I like
Um,
it.
but that's just me. I think 90% to 100% of the guys on our team will have that same attitude. Obviously, everybody at times will doubt either themselves or the team when things don't go well, but we've already had those situations happen. So now it's really just, total belief in ourselves. And we've seen that in a couple of the last games we played. And I think our game, no offense, Mark, down in Peterborough when we pulled out that win, we realistically like hadn't had a game like that this year, and we were able to stay true to what we wanted to do in that game, and it was something that all the guys looked at each other after that game and were like, okay, well, we know we can go through a game like this, and we know in the next 12 to 14 we're going to have games like that, so here's what we do. So
One name that hasn't popped up, and to be honest, I don't know much about the guy. I haven't seen you guys play this year. Maybe a stream or two. I haven't seen you in person live, but Dylan Lawrence, obviously one of the other imports there. He's currently sitting 33 goals in 34 games, 34 assists as well. So he's running at like 2 points a game, a goal. Well, he's averaging a goal and assist a game. Great point production. What's he like as a player, and can you tell me a little bit more about his game? Obviously, he can snipe and he can dish. So
Yeah, Dylan is a very great player. He is someone that doesn't necessarily talk too much. He is someone that sees the game very well. So when I'm on the bench, if I need to say something to him, like, hey, I'll be over here, it's just like a nod of a head. And then when you go out there, he can execute, at a very high speed and very high hockey IQ level. He's so good at just friggin' finding that extra pass. And there's been so many times this year where he looks like he's gonna shoot, and the next thing you know, he slides it over to me, and I'm in a better position. And I'm always ready. My philosophy of playing with him is like just always be ready because he's got great vision. But then yeah, he's also a guy that can just shoot the puck. I don't know how fast he shoots the puck, but it's pretty fast. And if he gets a hold of one like a one timer, you know, it's pretty heavy. A lot of strength behind it. Super strong skater, can blow by defensemen pretty easy, and then in the D zone he's just super structured, reliable, and easy to play with because he'll get the puck and just get it to me, and next thing you know, we're on a rush and we can make plays. Um, he's
sounds
just
like the dream teammate. To be fair, you just like
yeah,
you
seriously,
just
he really
explained like a
is.
dream teammate.
Really is. And we got a lot of guys like that. I mean, Tom's is like that, Ross is like that, guys that, have a lot of elite league experience that are playing in this league now. And it's just a joy to play with them because they play in the elite league, and you can see the amount of skill that is in that league. And I had like just a little bit of time there, and it's a very good league and very skilled. So they obviously were able to do well there, and now in this league they're doing really well as well. And it's been pretty fun playing with a lot of the guys on our team this year.
Oh, sorry, Mark. I thought you was going to say. I thought you were going to ask the question I'm probably going to ask here. Um, so you touched on like you had a cup of coffee in the elite league. You didn't really get much ice time in Cardiff. I think we spoke about that last time you were on. But this year, preseason game, and I mean preseason's preseason, but you got to play against Coventry Blaze. You scored a couple of goals, and that must fill you with confidence. And I wonder if it ever like puts in the brain that, hey, the elite league could be something that's in my future. Obviously, you talked about wanting to be in the national team, and an elite league would go a long way to make that happen. Is it something you think about, and is it an option you would like to assess in the future?
Yeah, ultimately, like the way it's gonna work is I have to play the rest of this season out and focus solely on that before I can focus on anything else. Um, just because I don't think that it'd be fair to the fans here or any of my teammates or myself to be thinking about the future when we got a job to do here. But yeah, ultimately, like I didn't really get to display too much when I was in Cardiff because I played maybe 7 games, and in the 7 games, maybe had like freaking 7 shifts. But you know, I took to the summer after last season a vigor of what happened there, and then a confidence of an experience like I had in Telford, which was great hockey with great people, great club, a lot of respect for Tom and all the guys that are there still, and the guys that I played with last year. Very good people. So the summer this year was pretty much just work as hard as possible for those 2 preseason games we played against Coventry, because those were the opportunity for me to show that I can play at that level. Um, and kind of put an end to what I was feeling, which not necessarily was self-doubt, but you know, could I have played more and done more things in Cardiff? Sure, I think that I definitely could have because, I believe in myself, but ultimately the summer I had was an unbelievable summer, one of the best summers of working out and skating and getting better. And that wasn't for anything other than, to improve my game and bring it into those 2 preseason games where I had an opportunity to prove it, and then the rest of the season. So we'll see what happens. And I like that league because you got a lot of great players in that league. Um, so we'll see what happens.
Well, this has been a fun interview.
Nice.
Glad we got to come back for round two. Shout out to all your you did say on the last episode that your family and friends will be all over this shit. Shout out to them for all the shares, all the
Yeah.
comments. They went all in, so we appreciate it. And if you're watching
Thank
this
you.
time and you haven't already subscribed, do the subscribe, comment again, do all those things. We appreciate it. And we appreciate the support that you give Rory on the pod. Everyone really enjoyed the episode last time. I'm sure they're going to love this one. We wish you all the best for the cup final and for the run in. And well, me personally, being an ex forward, I hope to see you hit that 100-point mark. That would just be
It'd be solid.
that would just be sweet. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just something about that 100 on a player's stat sheet just looks phenomenal. I hope you hit it, buddy.
Cool. Thanks. Shout out to you guys for having me back on. You guys are doing such a great job promoting the game in the United Kingdom. And I know all the support that you have is going a long way because you hear about your guys' names in the rink pretty much every week, and oh, who they had on the podcast, oh, what they say, and it's just good for the game of hockey, and just keep doing what you guys are doing, and thanks again for having me on. Shout out to my family, my mom, my dad, sister, and Ala Madrid for my brother-in-law, Guillermo Rodriguez, huge fan of the 4000 and Counting podcast,
Love it.
all my Spanish family, all
Nice.
my family up in Liverpool, and then yeah, just thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, my friend, anytime.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you.
Hopefully we get to catch up at some point in person. That would be great. It would be great to shoot the breeze, have a couple of pints, and
Definitely.
tell some stories that we can't tell on here. Ladies and
Yeah, for
gents,
sure.
you know what to do. Hit that button, hit that subscribe, share it around, and tell your friends. Mr. Rory Herrman, thank you very much. We will
Thank
see
you.
you guys and girls for another episode very, very soon. Peace.
Peace.